Hey guys, it is week 4 of the
four.
summer series, and we are so excited to talk about Cambria Joy's story and how we can live into the things she shared. There's so many ways. I mean, her story is so relatable to all of us women, and I needed to hear everything she had to say.
Yeah, I love this week of getting to talk about living into this because I can guarantee that it's something that every single one of you who are watching, including Kens and I, have struggled with. We look in the mirror and we don't like what we see, or we struggle with weight or just our outward appearance, and I love looking to the Lord about what He says about that, and so I'm excited about this whole video and this whole week.
Me too.
So Kens, what was your biggest takeaway from our talk with Cambria?
Yes, my biggest takeaway, which she said a couple times, was we are created to reflect God's image, not perfect our own. And I just think that's
good.
So good. Retweet. She said it actually the first time in her story, and the first time she said it, I was like underlining, writing it down. I didn't realize it was going to be like the entire theme of her talk.
Yeah,
so good. There we go. But anyways, it's so good. I mean, so often, I spend way too much of my day, I mean, more than half of my day probably, thinking about myself and how I can, whether it's getting ready in the morning, or it's thinking about myself when I walk in the room, or carrying the insecurities of my body image with me the places I go, like just all the time I'm thinking about perfecting my own image, and I'm not thinking about like how this is seen to others. And if any, that's what I desire. I desire for people to like look at me and like see God, not like see the ways that I've made myself look good. So.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I loved when she talked about this thought of like circling the mountain, and how so many of us in our own life are circling the mountain when it comes to this. Like we just go around and around and around. Like maybe for some of you it's weight, you diet and you lose 5 pounds and then you gain it and you go around and around and around. It's just this never ending cycle. And I think in order to stop circling the mountain, I think that like first we have to recognize it. We have to recognize that like it has become this idol in our life.
An idol.
Yeah, and we have to recognize that idol, and then we have to like bring that to the feet of the Lord, and we have to let Him pivot our mind, because that's how we pivot our actions. And so I think prayer is like such a huge part of that, and just like hearing what the Lord says about you and about your beauty and how we're all created in His image. And it's so funny, I hear those verses that she talked about a lot, and I think of them as cliche a lot of times. I'm like, like
there's so much
whatever, but that's like what God says about us.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing, like that God looks at the heart, like He doesn't look at the outward appearance. So
I think that's so powerful. And like the things, like I think by recognizing it, a really tangible way for you guys to recognize it is like any negative like things that you're thinking of yourself, like whether it's like I'm fat, I'm ugly,
look at my arm, look at my leg, like
all
hate my freckles.
All negative thoughts are from the enemy. And so if you can like call that and name that the enemy's voice and not God's voice, that's a way that you can pivot, and start changing those words to like really positive words. Like, no, like God created me this way. And just like knowing God actually created you. Like He created you the way you look, me the way I look. Anyways, what's another way that we can like live into this week?
I think what's so important, and something that like we came to terms with a couple years ago in our friendships and our friend groups, was we started realizing how we talked about ourselves and how we placed such an emphasis on outward appearance that it created so much comparison in our friend group. Like we'd be like, oh my gosh, like I haven't worked out today, like I need to not eat that cookie because like I like ate so much for dinner, blah 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 blah. And suddenly, like when you start talking about it in your everyday, of course your mind is going to be consumed with thoughts of that. So I think you have to be so careful and so intentional in the way that you speak about things like dieting, things like outward appearance, or like walking in and going, oh my gosh, I look so bad today, don't judge me.
Or like, what are you doing to work out today? Or like just any of that conversation.
I think kind of eliminating that from our life and watching how even taking that away changes how you see yourself.
Yeah.
And it'll also change the way, like, the people that are around you, how they see themselves. They see themselves, because that, like, comparison of, oh, she's not gonna eat the cookie, like, maybe I should eat the cookie, like, it just,
exactly.
I think it speaks life into it again.
Yeah, I've been really surprised, like, just a real moment right now. I've always been really surprised by some of my friends that end up telling me years later that they struggled with an eating disorder or weight or something like that. And it always breaks my heart, because I think of, like, the moments where I, like, talked about running or talked about, like, what I was eating, and, like, I was an influence, a negative influence into the way they, like, thought about themselves, and it always, like, hurts me. And so I just think it's really, really powerful to, like, shift our conversations, like, stop talking about that and speak life over people. It's gonna be so good.
I think just live to reflect God's image and not perfect your own. Like, write that on your mirror, put that everywhere. Like, let's really live into what that means this week. Like, let's reflect God's image and not focus so much on just perfecting our own. So such a good week.
Good.
Yeah.
You look like Jesus.
You do too, girl. All right, have an awesome week. We will see you next.